Call tonight's City Council meeting to order. We'll take the roll, please.
City Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson Jr.? Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Present.
Jameson?
Yes.
We have a quorum present for tonight's meeting. Tonight will be led in the invocation by Pastor Aaron Asmus from Memorial Lutheran Church here in Sioux Falls. After the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. So this time I ask everyone to please rise.
Well, this morning I had a chance to watch some of the inaugural events before heading off to work, and you can tell I put a tie on after watching that. It felt kind of patriotic that way. Listen to the prayer that was spoken by Pastor Rick Warren to open the inauguration ceremonies. And just some words that he said were striking to me as he prayed for leadership, specifically for President Obama at that time. But he said, we pray, Lord, to give him the wisdom to lead with humility, the courage to lead with integrity, and the compassion to lead with, I believe he said, graciousness at that point. And I thought that that was a trio of qualities that we would all pray for as we go about our daily work, whatever it might be, but also for this meeting tonight. So we pray. Lord God, Heavenly Father, bring blessing to our lives this evening. And at this meeting where leadership is what we're called to exercise, whether on the council, whether we're representing interests that are important to us, we ask, dear Heavenly Father, that you would give us the wisdom to lead with humility, that you'd give us courage to lead with integrity, that you'd give us the compassion to always lead with graciousness. We thank you for your graciousness to us. In the name of your Son, Jesus, I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll get started here. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconds. Further comments, further motions? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Council members Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The consent agenda has been approved 7 yes, 1 excused. Now, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So move, Benninga.
Benninga moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello seconded. Further motions, further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the regular agenda, vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Anderson? Benninga?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The regular agenda has been approved 7 yes, 1 excused. Now is the time that we open up for public input. Anyone wishing to address the council for a period of 5 minutes, we just ask you to come forward, give your name and your address. Anyone wishing to address the council at this time, please come forward. Seeing no one that is coming forward, we will move into the regular agenda, item number 23.
Mayor, with your permission, can I read each of them and cover all of them with one vote?
You may.
Okay. Item 23 is a new 2009 retail liquor license for Our Ventures Incorporated, named to be determined to be operated at 900 South Marion Road, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, with the conditional use permit being approved on July 2nd, 2008, pending final inspections per fire and health and subject to permits, inspections, and final occupancy per building services. Item 24 is a new 2008-2009 retail malt beverage license for SRO Restaurants LLC, Grill 26, to be operated at 1716 Southwestern Avenue, full-service restaurant, conditional use permit not required, pending final inspections per fire, health, and building services. Item 25 is a new 2009 retail wine license for SRO Restaurants LLC, Grill 26, to be operated at 1716 Southwestern Avenue, full-service restaurants, conditional use permit not required, pending final inspections for fire, health, and building services. Item 26 is a new 2008-2009 retail malt beverage license for Karen A. Johnson, Buffalo Berries, to be operated at 309 South Phillips Avenue with a conditional use permit being approved on October 3rd, 2007. Item 27 is a transfer of a 2008-2009 retail malt beverage license from Great Plains Lodging V. LLC, Homewood Suites, 3620 West Avera Drive, to SF Lodging Group LLC, Homewood Suites, to be operated at 3620 West Avera Drive with the conditional use permit being approved on May 21st, 2001. Item 28 is the transfer of a 2008 retail wine license from Great Plains Lodging Fifth LLC, Homewood Suites, 3620 West Avera Drive, to SF Lodging Group LLC, Homewood Suites, to be operated at 3620 West Avera Drive, with the conditional use permit being approved on May 21st, 2001. Item 29 is a renewal of a 2009 retail wine license for SF Lodging Group LLC, Homewood Suites, to be operated at 3620 West Avera Drive. Item 30 is a renewal of a 2009 retail liquor license for 4900 Building LLC, the Oaks Hotel, to be operated at 3300 West Russell Street, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, pending final inspection for fire, health, and building services. Item 31 is an address correction for the new 2009 retail wine license for the Little Cellar Wine Company LLC, the Little Cellar Wine Company, to be operated at 2320 South Louise Avenue, approved on November 17, 2008, with the correct address being 2316, 2318 South Louise Avenue. Item 32 is an address correction for the transfer of a 2009 package liquor license from the Little Cellar Wine Company LLC, the Little Cellar Wine Company, 2425 South Shirley Avenue, number 116, to the Little Cellar Wine Company LLC, the Little Cellar Wine Company, to be operated at 2320 South Louise Avenue, approximately February 19, 2009, or upon completion of construction approved on November 17, 2008, with the correct address being 2316, 2318 South Louise Avenue. Item 33 is a special one-day malt beverage license and special one-day wine licenses for the Southeastern Chapter of the South Dakota Engineering Society to be held at Dow Romo Village, 1321 West Dow Romo Street, on February 21, 2009, for their awards banquet. Item 34 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for the Children's Care Foundation to be held at First National Bank in Sioux Falls, 500 South Phillips Avenue, on February 13th for fundraiser. Applicants requesting withdrawal of this request. Item 35 is a special one-day wine license for St. Joseph Cathedral Club Number 54 to be operated at St. Joseph Cathedral, 523 North Duluth Avenue, on February 13th, 2009, for a Valentine's Day dinner. So the approval would be with everything except item 34.
It will be noted that item 34 will be withdrawn, okay?
All right, thank you, Tamara. Lori Hogstead with the City Attorney's Office, representing items 23 through 35, and I can answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move approval of items 23 through 35, eliminating 34.
The motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second, Brown.
Brown seconds the motion. Further comments on the motion to approve? Not all in favor of approving will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Councilmember Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted. Items 23 through 35 have been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused, and 34 has been withdrawn. 36.
Item 36 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at the northeast corner of East 69th Street and South Sycamore Avenue from the AG Agricultural District to the RC Recreation Conservation District, RS2 Residential District, RD Residential District, and the Briarwood Estates South Plan Development District, petition number 2008-1209, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. This property is located in the northeast corner of East 69th and Sycamore Avenue. It's approximately 138 acres of land area. The applicant is Ronning Companies. This action would modify the zoning on this property in conformance with a land use amendment that the City Council has previously acted on. And this will result in approximately 24 acres of a planned development that will include commercial, office, and multifamily residential. There'll be approximately 250 lots developed for residential, and the balance will be for drainage and detention area. as well as street right-of-way.
Questions of Mike on item number 37? Not, let's go to 38. Or 37, we just finished 36, excuse me.
Item 37 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota rezoning property at South Tuscan Club Circle from the RS1 Residential District to the RS2 Residential District, petition number 2008-12-3, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is located on the south side of West 85th Street along Hughes Avenue, which is west of Louise. The petitioner is Brian Ross, and the property consists of approximately 8.3 acres. We have previously approved a residential zoning for this property that shows 16 single-family development lots. This zoning is requested by the applicant to allow additional flexibility in terms of the layout and the setbacks of the residential uses. It will still be single-family residential.
Questions of Mike on item number 37? Not. Is there a motion to set the hearing date for February 2nd
Move
for
to-
items 36, 37?
I'd like to move to set that hearing date.
Let's
those two
made a
items.
motion. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor, set the hearing date for February 2nd for items 36, 37. Vote yes. Those opposed? No.
Councilmembers Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. The hearing date has been set for February 2nd for items 36, 37, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 38.
Item 38 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the issuance of its wastewater system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, authorizing the use of the proceeds thereof for capital improvements, pledging a portion of the wastewater system revenue of the city to the payment of said wastewater system revenue bond, fixing the terms of such wastewater system revenue bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement between the city and the South Dakota Conservancy District, and authorizing the execution and delivery of such wastewater system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, not to exceed $1,803,000.
Mayor and City Council, we have a short presentation tonight prepared for items 38, 39, 40, and 41, and I would request, if possible, if we could read them all at once, and then we will go through the presentation.
We will do that.
Item 39 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the issuance of its wastewater system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, authorizing the use of the proceeds thereof for capital improvements, pledging a portion of the wastewater system revenue of the city to the payment of said wastewater system revenue bond, fixing the terms of such wastewater system revenue bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement between the city and the South Dakota Conservancy District, and authorizing the execution and delivery of such wastewater system revenue bonds to the South Dakota Conservancy District, not to exceed $2,540,000. Item 40 is an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, first reading, authorizing the issuance of its water system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, authorizing the use of the proceeds thereof for capital improvements, pledging a portion of the drinking water system revenue of the city to the payment of said water system revenue bond, fixing the terms of such water system revenue bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement between the city and the South Dakota Conservancy District, and authorizing the execution and delivery of such water system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, not to exceed $3,578,750. Item 41 is a first reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the issuance of its water system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, authorizing the use of the proceeds thereof for capital improvements, pledging a portion of the drinking water system revenue of the city to the payment of said water system revenue bond, fixing the terms of such water system revenue bond, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement between the city and the South Dakota Conservancy District, and authorizing the execution and delivery of such water system revenue bond to the South Dakota Conservancy District, not to exceed $7,706,900.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I also have with me tonight Doug Hayek, our bond counsel, that is helping us administer these SRF notes. As we start, we have two different areas of funding. The first is the clean water funding, which can qualify for either stormwater or wastewater. And then the latter portion of the presentation is for drinking water projects. The clean water projects tonight are listed ahead, which are a project that's at the plant, the Energy Recovery Unit, a continuation of Basin 13, trunk sewer, and last, the rehabilitation of existing sanitary sewer pipe, which is a pipelining projects. These will cover items 38 and 39. First is a snapshot of an overview of the wastewater plant, and highlighted is the energy recovery unit. One of the byproducts of treating wastewater is the generation of methane gas through the anaerobic digesters. Inside that recovery unit in 1981, 2 generators were installed, leaving a place for a third, and that will be provided with this project. Again, this project will add the third generator. It's also powered by methane, and the heat that's also recovered off these generators is captured and goes to heat 3 buildings on site. In addition to the generators that are in this building, the system also has the exterior gas storage sphere, which holds the methane until it's needed. And if that unit is full and the generators are down, either for maintenance or rebuild, we have to flare that, similar to how we do that at the landfill, and that's the waste burner. Project is scheduled for design in 2009, and the construction and installation of the engine generator, the exhaust heat recovery unit, and the new electrical switchgear would be planned for 2010. The project estimate is just over $1.8 million and has an interest rate of 2.5% and a 10-year term. Again, this was a part of the water reclamation rate review that we've gone through last year as we brought the CIP projects forward and also studied the rate analysis. Next project is item 39, and that's the continuation of a trunk sewer named Basin 13. It's a long, narrow basin that originates at the Sherman Park complex out of the new lift station, and essentially lies due north and will extend past I-90 when the final phase is complete. This is probably, there will be one more phase after this project is constructed. This project will consist of starting at about Westport and Benson Road, and then heading due north and east. And it's west of the airport, and it's east of Westport Avenue, and it's also west of the Big Sioux River. Total project length is just under 7,000 feet of sanitary sewer, and is scheduled for construction in 2009.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
At this time? Yeah, on this one here, the Basin 13, is this going to be our last phase on Basin 13, or will there be any other phases in the near future?
There will be another phase as land development requires. This phase, Councilor Staggers, will go from approximately Benson Road and Westport, and then it'll get us north of 60th Street. And so that gap between 60th Street and I-90 will probably be our last phase. I can go back.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I saw that hash marks there that
Sorry.
indicates that we're kind of already,
Well, that's
so we're not going to do that north of I-90
right,
this phase.
That's the full basin.
Oh, okay, it's full basin.
Yeah. As with any large trunk sewer new installation, there is a cost recovery that is filed against those lands, and revenue will come back into the fund as people hook up and take benefit with this sewer. This project's estimated just over $1.5 million and will have an interest rate of 2.5% in a term of 10. Pipelining projects. This has been a continuation of many years of lining the old sewer mains within the City of Sioux Falls. And we've got a couple of pictures coming up just to show the before and after of what happens when you go through and rehabilitate and a sewer that's able to be rehabilitated, and some of the benefits. But essentially the project will rehabilitate a deteriorated sewer main. It uses a trenchless technology, meaning we do it all from above grade, and it's called cured in place pipe. Many of the backup issues that we have actually come from services that have roots and debris grow in them, and so we do, on problem sewers, we try to address that first 3 feet of those services that come into the main line. And with this loan, we have 2 years' worth of lining projects lined up, and for 2009 and 2010. This is a picture of a typical clay tile sewer which was installed several decades ago. Clay tile was laid in really short lengths back in those days, which can be 4 and 6 foot lengths. This just happens to be a leak that you see a failed joints occurred on the top, but we have several that actually occur on the bottom under the flow line that you can't visually see, but we can tell when there's a segment that's got a fairly consistent flow throughout the day. We know that we have to address those as well. So if we have a pipe that's fairly straight and like this, we can actually do this technology. A couple of pictures of what this looks like. There's a cleaning process that goes between manhole to manhole, which is shown in the upper left-hand corner, and then there's a liner that's put through the pipe, which has an adhesive onto it that will form to it. And when the liner's put in place, it's either steamed or hot water that activates the adhesion and cures this pipe into a rigid form. And the lower right-hand picture is a shot of where a sophisticated cutting tool comes back through after we've mapped the surfaces and cuts out the liner so it allows the surfaces to drain back into the new main. And here's a picture of that same pipe after it's been lined. If the existing pipe has been there 50 years, this rigid type of facility could extend it for another 50 years. Okay. Got 2 graphics. And the red areas that are highlighted are the 2009 areas that we will be in. And in 2010, these are the areas that are identified. Overall, the 2009 work will accomplish just over 5,000 feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer main. We'll also be addressing some of the sanitary sewer services in those mains. And then in 2010, slightly smaller project, just under 4,000 feet of 8-inch sanitary sewer main will be rehabilitated with this process. And in typical, we can do about a block, which is about 330 feet in a day. Okay, proposed project for the 2 years is estimated just over $1 million and has the same interest rate of 2.5% with a 10-year term.
Mark, if I may ask, on the pipelining, what's the cost compared to obviously replacing it completely? It's got to be a lot less expensive, correct?
Well, it's a technology that more vendors are now getting into, but when you start to quantify traffic control, surface replacement, just delay from having the street down, it's close to the same cost.
Price?
Yep. Yep.
On some of these, we bill back when they hook into it. And how do we handle the interest on that? Do we estimate the rate at which people will hook into it and the interest involved, or how does that work?
There is a formula that's wrote in the ordinance, and I believe, Pat, it is less than 2% interest each year. But I can get that to you.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Bob?
Mark, I had 2 questions. Is this a kind of a plastic or a poly that gets put in there that's steam cured? Is that? I would want to say epoxy, I guess. Is that what this is, the cured in place is?
I'd say it's closer to a PVC final product for the rigidity.
And then my other question had to do with leakage. You know, I've always assumed that seepage out was a bigger problem. I understand seepage in. Which of those 2 would be more prevalent in these older sewers?
Well, that's typically the elevation of the water table. If we have a situation where if the water table is at say, 5 feet below grade. And our sanitary sewers are normally below basement grade, which can be about 10 feet in the street, 8 to 10 feet, if there are basements adjacent to it. A lot of times, just like a well has a drawdown of a cone, that's where that water starts to come in at the bottom of all these joints. And so inflow, when we have all this inflow, what it'll do is it'll limit our growth of what the City of Sioux Falls can grow at, because if we've got X capacity at the plant, and we're assumed maxed out at the plant for capacity, but possibly about 20% of that capacity is actually inflow into the sewer, just rainwater. We want to make sure we address that so we can get that down to a small number. We know we'll never get that down to zero just with all the miles of piping out there, but we want to make sure that we're not running groundwater through the wastewater treatment plant.
Mark, I couldn't tell from that map as far as what sections were being done, but are we redoing the main sewer line along the Big Sioux River? Or is that a different project, or is this going to be used on that project?
That is a different project, and that's what we call the Central Main. We're doing two things there, and that would be a large lining project. That current diameter of that's really one of the backbones of the City of Sioux Falls. It's about 48 inches in diameter. In some cases, we're upsizing that to 54 and 60 inch.
Compared to this being?
We use this a lot on smaller sewers.
But how big is this line, the demonstration, or the ones you just showed us?
Well, this will, let me go back. Essentially this, when we start with an 8-inch clay tile pipe, and you can do larger than that. But in a case like this, we don't necessarily have a capacity issue. We have more of a joint and leakage issue, but the pipe is still structurally good, except at the joints. That's why this works good. When some of the growth on the south and west part of the city, we've kind of pushed more flow into the Central Main, which has required us to upsize that from a 48-inch up to a 60, so we can actually receive more flow. One of the things, we don't lose much, but anytime you put something inside another pipe, you lose a little diameter, but we make it up on the smoothness of this pipe as opposed to the roughness of a clay tile pipe. Okay. Okay, in summary, those are the clean water SRF projects. Now for the drinking water state revolving loan projects, which are items 40 and 41. The first two are well projects, and the last two are distribution system projects. First is, the intention is to consolidate 3 vertical wells into 1 horizontal collector well. And we've talked about horizontal collector wells on the number of the benefits that we've seen. One of the things I want to bring your attention to for the second well project is the laterals that you see toward the bottom of that well. When we rehabilitate a horizontal collector well, that's the portion that we're upgrading. And so the location, well 60, 61, and 62 are up north of 60th Street North and just west of Minnesota Avenue. And again, those 3 vertical wells will be consolidated into 1 horizontal collector well.
Can I ask a question? Why do we want to consolidate them and spend $3 million?
Well, when they were installed, they had a rated capacity. Now each of those, after multiple maintenance times, we're down to less than a third of that capacity. And so now to actually go in and actually develop the well for the next 50 years, that's why we'll switch to the collector well on this one.
But have we really shown that it's cost effective? I mean, why couldn't we maybe put in a 4th collector well at a much cheaper price to compensate for the loss on those other 3 wells?
Well, those other wells have also very low screen capabilities, and the screen is what actually is the barrier between the the material and where the water comes into the well before it gets picked up. So we already have a very aged well system out there, and we've got very reduced capacity. So we've done a facility plan. We've had a public meeting. We've brought this through the capital improvements program, and this is really the final step, lining up funding with SRF before we execute the project, Councilor.
But I guess I'm not sure. If we really check the numbers out on this, I mean, another alternative rather than spending the $3 million on one well, maybe rehabilitate, or like I mentioned, put another collector well in to make it more cost effective. Have those numbers been penciled out?
We've done a facility plan and a public hearing that we've shared that information.
Can you show this to us, Mark, when you present this at second reading?
We certainly
About
can.
being cost effective?
We can certainly show you the alternatives that we looked at.
Okay, thank you.
And again, one of the things that anytime you consolidate your operations down to one, it's a much more efficient approach, and it's also, you're getting a lot better well for the size of the facility and the city that the City of Sioux Falls is. So I'll try to bring as much information as we can to the second reading.
Okay, thank you.
Second project for this item is the rehabilitation of a collector well, which again is those horizontal laterals toward the bottom. And when that well was built many years ago, it was used with a low alloy steel, and this will actually install stainless steel new laterals. That rehabilitation project is estimated just over $670,000. It has a 10-year term and a 2.5% interest. Gives you a picture of where well 37 is north of the city. Moving on to item 41, which really addresses the distribution system, the piping, as well as the pressure. And we've got a number of projects that are planned in the continuation of them. The distribution system improvements will be focused in the airbase area as well as Western Heights. And then also there is planned replacement for large diameter valves. First, to look at the airbase, and we've got, once I get through the project facts, we've got some maps that can show you where these projects are focused on. In 2009, Industrial Avenue will be our focus for airbase improvements, and in 2010, Black Hawk Street will be the focus. Two fairly large projects in the airbase area. In many cases, these mains have been in place for over 60 years, got a long history of breaks, and also reduced capacity that comes from the buildup and tuberculation in old water mains. Project is estimated just over $2 million and has a 10-year loan term with 2.5% interest. Second project is a continuation of the Western Heights project that we've been doing for a number of years, and we probably have in the order of 5 to 7 years of work left in this area. The 2009 projects are listed, and again, we'll have a map coming up here shortly. In 2010, we have a number of streets that are also identified to replace those water mains. Again, we've got fairly, these mains are not very old. They're less than, in some cases, 25 years old, but we've got an issue with the corrosion that is occurring in the water mains that has a significant number of water main breaks. So again, making our way through this area so we can address those items. Project is estimated just over $3.9 million and has a 10-year loan term at 2.5% interest.
Yes, Mark, on those, that distribution center system in the west there, is it because of the pipe we initially put in is just becoming more deteriorating, or is that the primary reason?
What occurred was, yes, what occurred was metal pipe was put in, ductile iron, okay. And now the practice is when we put ductile iron in, we wrap it with a poly that actually acts as the barrier between the corrosive soils, because that area has very high alkalinity soil, and we want to stop that reaction so that corrosion doesn't occur. And in the case out there, there's no barrier, there's no poly wrap, and so in many cases now with PVC pipe, we don't have that issue. So that's why we're going through and doing it.
Director Connor, is it unusual that those pipes, when they are less than 25 years old, would become corrosive? In other words, is there any kind of a product problem here, and is anyone liable for it other than us?
No, it's really a reaction between the soil and the pipe. Okay, here's some graphics to go back. The 2009 airbase projects and then the valve replacements are also they're circled, and that's Industrial Avenue. 2010, that's Blackhawk Street. Western Heights will be about the same size and scale of project that was accomplished in 2008, and here is half of the project. And in 2010, here will be the streets that are addressed. 2010, we also have 2 large water valves on Bonson Avenue that will be replaced. Last, the South Reservoir Pumping Station. For those that were able to make it, this is the station that you were able to tour when we took it down. And so this is a project that we talked about on the operation and suction side, where we need to really step up the size of those pumps. With the growth of the city outside the 229 and 29 Beltway, when the demand hits, this pumping station's one of 3 that needs to really step up production to make sure that we can keep pressures and levels in towers consistent. And so this project's been identified in a previous master plan back in 2003 and brought through the CIP, and this is the project that will actually accomplish that work. If you remember, this is the top side, and again, of the 5 pumps, 2 of them will be upsized from 3 million gallons per day to 6 million gallons per day. There'll be a number of items improved inside, as well as the electrical equipment. Project is estimated at about $1.57 million and has a 10-year loan term at 2.5%. And in summary, the top 2 are well projects, which is the consolidation of 3 vertical wells into 1 horizontal collector well. Well 37 is rehabilitating an existing horizontal collector well. And the airbase and Western Heights, as well as the valve replacement, are true distribution improvement projects. And the South Reservoir and Pumping Station will really keep our pressure and towers at the level they're needed to be.
Question, go ahead, Pat.
Mark, how old is well 37?
I don't have that off the top of my head. Let me check, but it's one of our original ones that was installed. So it's several years old.
Send me an email.
I will.
Further questions? Gerald?
I don't know if this is for you, Mark, or maybe for Doug, but with the SRF loans, I'm sure there's some loan guarantees. Is there any other loan guarantee besides the revenue stream from the enterprise funds?
Let me have Doug address that.
Doug Hayek from the Davenport Law Firm. Councilmember, each of these loans is secured by the system revenues and only by the system revenues for that particular system. So here you're dealing with 2 separate systems. One is a wastewater system, and so those 2 loans will be secured by that system revenues, and the other is by the drinking water system.
So there's no sales tax guarantees?
No.
It's all
there's
fees
no other,
from the enterprise funds?
Only by those funds, yep.
Thank you.
Pat?
Doug? The South Dakota Conservancy District is a quasi-government agency from the state. Where do they get the money from?
The South Dakota Conservancy District is managed by the Board of Water and Natural Resources, and that the Conservancy District periodically goes to the bond market and sells bonds, which in turn are secured by these loans and loans made to communities around the state. So usually once a year or about every year, they're in the bond market. And I'm not exactly sure what their funding status is right now, but they've certainly got enough to take care of these.
Are there limits for the city or other municipalities on how much they can borrow? Or is there any kind of limits on the district itself?
The bonds, when the bonds are sold by the Conservancy District, they do go through a rating process. And so because those bonds are secured by a pledge of these various loans, the market will tend to look at what are the obligations that stand behind these. And Sioux Falls does have a fairly significant, obviously because of the size, significant portion of the SRF loans that are made. And so I expect that Sioux Falls credit rating is taken into account when the Conservancy District issues its bonds.
It seems like pretty attractive terms. And,
Very.
And I'm wondering if there's more opportunity or less if we're maxing out what we can do, or.
I don't think I have the answer to that. Yeah, we can find out more about that.
We have such a short meeting tonight. I'm full of questions. So.
Yeah, well, good for you.
Thank you.
Further questions, Kermit?
Yeah, I guess one concern I have here is that on like items 40 and 41, the titles are exactly the same, except somebody did put an extra comma in item number 41. But the thing is, anybody could read this. They know we would be borrowing money, but they wouldn't have the slightest idea for. Is there, well, I know we can put in our title what we're doing these for, and also the amount of money, too. Because, I mean, this can be very confusing if you get all these titles that are identical. And so I guess...
That's a good point.
Yes.
That's a good point. I mean, you don't have to look too far into the ordinance itself, but they do, each of the ordinances does have a separate number on it. Each of them does specifically state in the title that it is for the borrowing of money, but...
and it's the same way with 38 and 39. Those are identical, dealing with the wastewater.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it just seems reasonable, titles are supposed to inform people about things. And we know we're borrowing here, but we don't know what for.
Only that.
We don't know how much either. Mm-hmm.
Right. It states that it is for a wastewater system borrowing, the particular system that the loan is for.
But we have two of those dealing with wastewater, and so
yes, no, that's a valid point.
Moved around and shuffled.
That's a valid point.
Further questions?
So I guess my other question is, by the time we have the second reading, can we have a little more information on the titles? I mean, I just think it's something that's reasonable to do.
Well, we can do whatever the council wants to do. The ordinances themselves are relatively short. They're only three pages long, plus the exhibit that shows at the end what the project is, and the dollar amount is shown on the second page. But
when we had this published in the newspaper, it would be really handy so people could know.
If the council wanted to amend the titles to do that, I guess I don't have a problem with that.
I guess since we're not originating these ordinances, if you could actually do it, I think would be best.
Well, this is the first reading.
Sure.
And I'm not sure about, I'm concerned that with these particular ordinances, to change the titles to them at this point, I'm not sure that's something that you really want to do unless you want to start over on the financing. And I think that your point is well taken, and I think maybe on future issues, it might be a good thing to do.
In the past, we have changed titles, not very often, but it's...
Okay. We will look into it.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Sure.
Further questions? Not, is there a motion to approve item 38, 40, and 41 and set the hearing date for February 9th?
I so move Knutson.
Second, Costello.
Costello seconds. Further comments on the motion to set the hearing date for February 9th for items 38, 39, and 40 through 41? All in favor of that motion, yes. Opposed, no.
Councilmembers Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. The hearing date has been set for February 9th for items 38, 39, 40, and 41. 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 42.
Item 42 is a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Foss Fields Edition, petition number 2008-1211. The Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is located in the southwest corner of East Madison Street and Powderhouse Road. It's approximately 63 acres of land area. The applicant is Foss Fields Development, LLC. This is actually a revised development plan based on the zoning amendment that has been previously approved by the City Council. And it shows that this property will be developed into approximately 76 residential lots, along with 4 lots for commercial or office uses. And this revised plan is in conformance with the changed zoning district boundaries that we have previously gone through for City Council approval.
Questions of Mike on item number 42? Others that wish to address the council on item number 42? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Litz.
Litz moves. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninger seconds. Further comments on the motion to approve item 42? Seeing none, all in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 42 has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Litz.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in
Jameson.
all in favor of adjournment will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmember Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Stand adjourned.